hell are they doing?
Are
they making the playoffs next year? Or are we're doing the soft what the does that mean?
It does feel like a soft rebuild, doesn't it?
What does that mean?
It means they're not going to move guys until they're kind of forced to, like they are now with Rasmus, because he's not going to re-sign.
So if we want to talk about it in a positive sense, we say they're being patient.
I wouldn't be like, what I fear is that this front office doesn't have the confidence to make a bold move that says, here's the direction we're going. That's my fear. Because it'd be really easy to say, we're putting a stake in the ground. This is a bleeping RB, and we're going to be in the mix for McKenna and DuPont. It's not that hard. You move a Kadri, Coleman, Rasmus,
Backlund.
Sure. Yeah. It's last year, his deal. You could even take calls on Mackenzie Weegar. I think you need to keep some good players, and his term has only got 4 years left, but still you could easily turn this into a hard RB. I kind of hope they do, but I don't think they will.
It's not, like you say, that's not hard to do.
Doesn't guarantee it,
but it doesn't
guarantee you anything. But
there's a lot of teams that do that. Will sell off our aging guys and get some stuff, and sometimes that stuff is okay, and other times it's just some stuff.
Right, but your own pick's just going to be way higher. We all get that, right? That's what I'm talking about.
I understand, but even still, there's a simplicity that is that is attached to rebuilding. So we'll just trade you guys and get some picks and prospects, and then you're good.
Wow.
Every team would do it.
I just look at teams that win the cups, and they've all done it. The cores of those teams all were built in rebuilds.
And the best Flames teams in the past 30 years, I'll say, was a team that was built through the draft.
It's tough to find a cup winner that the core of that team isn't built through a rebuild. And so if you want to make the playoffs, and that's your prerogative as an organization, you're not that far away. You lost the tiebreak. But if you actually want to win a cup, I think you're a long way away. And you need to boldly say, this is the path we're going because we want to win a cup. Because they say we want to win a cup, but so do 31 other teams. Are you acting like you want to win a cup? Because if you bring back all these guys and add at the deadline because you're 2 points into a playoff spot, you're not actually closer to a cup. You're just in the dance.
But you got to be in the dance if you want to win the cup.
Right, but if you want to win a cup, you actually need to pick in the top 3 or 4 a bunch. I mean, where do you get your Barkovs and Ekblads? Yeah, you got to make good deals along the way where you can pick up Reinhart and Kachuk and you sign Bob. But all these teams, their spines are with top 3 picks in the draft.
Yeah,
it's McKinnon, it's McCarr, it's McDavid, it's Draisaitl, it's Doughty, it's Kane and Taves. All these guys are right at the top of the draft, and those are the spines of these teams that win cups.
Do you honestly believe, even if next year we can get in, that this is the type of team that has the ability? I've said it a lot. Can you elevate your game?
They look like they were maxed out, didn't they?
Like the playoffs is, okay, now we're in, and we're going to have to up our production by 25%.
Like, I think there's some guys they have that would be and have been very good playoff performers. Like, I think Kadri and Coleman and Pospisil and Klapka, their style of play would be really good in the playoffs because you can get away with a little more, and they've got some dirt under their nails. Uyghur's got some of that moxie too. But
Pospisil's going to have to get his act together. Sorry.
Well, he's afraid of the player safety department. That's the problem. In the playoffs, he doesn't have to worry about that as much. But point being, I just don't know that you say, oh yeah, if they played the Jets, they would have rolled.
No, like this year's team, they couldn't score. And there was no reason to think that they were going to be able to, even if goals go down in the playoffs, which really they didn't. We looked at the final, it was like 7 goals, 8 goals a game. You can squint and probably be sold. Sharon Govich will have a better year.
I liked his finish to the year.
Right?
The injury screwed him up.
And even still, he had how many goals?
17.
17 goals on an awful kind of year. Could you get more out of Farabee? He's shown it in the past, like a little bit more.
Yep, his shooting percentage was rock bottom. You can't be that bad again.
Can Frost give a little bit more?
I hope so.
Can Zeri stay healthy? He will give you more. Does Coronado continue to score?
You'd assume so. And that's kind of how they get in this conundrum, right?
Yeah, but it all adds up to F all, because guess what? The 10th place team and the 11th place team and the 12th place team are all going to say, if
like
this happened, guess what? We're right there.
Oh, I know. I just, like, as it sits right now, if you believe in Wolf and you saw the way the defense plays, and who knows, the
I
Anderson
only
thing is
believe
obviously
my only, not to jump on you there, but the only person I do believe in is Wolf.
That's your
And
bluest
it's
of
not
blue
a
chips.
negative against the other guys. I just don't know. You say Coleman and Kadri, and I think, okay, yeah, could they up? I mean, you go watch Marchand go to the playoffs in Florida and performs unbelievably. I don't think he was very good this year. Four Nations, I didn't think he could
Keep up.
Yeah, I was like, okay, it's coming into an end. So could Kadri and Coleman elevate? Maybe, but
they're both coming off like career high type seasons. In the
I think
last couple years too.
Kadri's been great. Coleman, I feel like at 33, he's going to be a good soldier for you, but don't rely on him for offense. Well, that's not his contribution. The one guy, just to kind of like your point, and I totally agree with you. The one guy that they have that I think we don't view in that lens, because McKinnon was at number 1 and Makar is top 5 and all that. But the one guy they have that can have that type of a game-changing impact is Wolf. And we see him as a 7th round.
Oh, he's
a high-end, top of the first round type talent now, impact maker.
Yep.
So the Flame, they do have one of those impact guys, and he's in net.
And you're hoping that Parekh can be another, but it's a rookie year this year. Who even knows if he can play in this league? I think he will, and he can, but you're going to have some growing pains. He's not a stalwart defensive guru.
So even though we're geniuses, we don't know what we would do with this team.
No, I know exactly. Like we sell old parts, but like here's the thing: Nazem, you could trade right now. Are you sure in a year or in 2 years or in 3 years you can? Because it would be really silly in 10 years to look back. Like we had this asset we could have turned into some nice young pieces, but we just let him age out. And then as he got worse, the young guys were better and we didn't have anything to show for it.
What if there's a tipping point on the return though? Because you say you can trade him.
Yeah.
But what if it's a 2nd and a 4th?
Yeah, you'd have to really be committed to the
rebuild. Because it's $7 million. Yeah. It's 4 more years. It's still not the easiest contract to move. You can eat it, but okay, then what are we? So are you better off keeping them and playing them, or do you get them off your roster for a less than for a return that may not help you at all?
I just look at the Leafs, for
example.
Brought
him in for nothing.
If John Tavares is not signed with the Leafs, try to tell me who their second center is.
No, I agree.
So I think you could get a lot for Nazem in the right circumstances here.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think the player is desirable. I think he'd be a great fit. We assume you're going to get this return.
So Brock Nelson's like a year younger, and he just got a first, a top prospect, and a player. Now, it was an expiring contract. He's got 3 years on his new deal, not 4. But I think you're closer to that return than you are to a 2nd and a 4th. He just scored 30 goals, and he's a number 2 center.
Can I just add this pieces to the list of things? More importantly, what are you doing with your cap space? And if Nazem Kadri is a desirable asset in Toronto, it's like we said about Anderson.
You'd have.
And you eat some of that.
I just think if it's that easy, if you're getting a first and a prospect,
it should be done already.
Got to do it, don't you?
It's done.
You have to do it.
So, now, which is why I don't know if it's that easy.
But the only reason you wouldn't do it is if you're trying to make the playoffs next year. Because there's no way that return gets you closer to the playoffs. It takes you further away. And it gets back to where we started. What are you doing? Are you rebuilding? Are you pushing chips in? Or are you trying to do both? Because doing both, almost impossible.
Yeah. And see, I'd like to think it's somewhere in the middle, that it's not as easy for either side. I don't think they necessarily think they're a point away from getting in the playoffs and then being a cup champion. I think they know what they are. They're offensively challenged, but they're a team that's scrappy and they fight and they win some games they shouldn't. Yeah, they lose, but they got great goaltending and you can build from the net out. But I also think that if they were getting these types of offers for Kadri and, hey, we'd love Blake Coleman, we'll give you, if you had all of these offers that were sitting there, they're not stupid. Like we can turn, if we get a first here and a first there, we can use the picks, we can move the picks, we can turn this around in a year and a half.
So you think if you went to the owner and said, we're going to miss the playoffs next year, but look what we get for Kadri, that'd be green lit?
You already missed the playoffs.
Well, you're trying to get better.
They're going to take 7 times 4 of Kadri, and I think you can frame that conversation with the owner. Yeah.
Yeah. And to Rhett's point, you make it 4 years at 3.5 and ask for more in trade.
Well, the other thing that we never mentioned is that 2 years ago, you couldn't move Kadri for
Cap's gone up and he's been good. He's aged nicely.
Don't get me wrong. I'm just
I know.
framing it. You're having a discussion. I would be moving them.
The best predictor of future activities is what people have done in the past. The way Conroy's
That's not a
rolled
good thing
is
for you.
when no, it's not.
Any of us, frankly.
But the way Connie's dealt with issues is when there's a pressure point, he deals with them. And when I look at Bill Zito, there was no pressure point on Huberdeau aside from, I guess, being a year away from UFA. But he was just like, can't win with this guy. Got to do it now. That's a bold decision. I'm waiting for a bold decision.
The pressure point was more the Tkachuk doing. It wasn't a Florida.
Yeah, it was this guy's on the market. Holy shit.
Right. But I guess what I'm saying is if you're going to make a call on a Nazem or a Coleman, that's, geez, like that might threaten playoff revenue. I don't know. Like we'll just wait it out and we'll see. And at the deadline, I'll know. But they did that last year and they added 0 prospects to the system over the course of the year.
Yeah, because
you could have swapped.
They were in the hunt.
Well, Frank Brown,
like Frank said
the worst
yesterday,
case scenario is to
get it. Don't trade Anderson. Then you get, hey, look at us.
We'll
We're
be our
pretty
own
good.
rental.
How are we going to trade this guy?
And that's the mistake. You
Yeah,
can't make that mistake.
Like you said, make a blood oath with yourself, but you can't. There's too many forces, including ownership from the outside, that can convince you or try to convince you that you can't trade this guy because we got something special here.
I think
the other side too. That we've talked about this relentlessly. I guess it's summer, and this is what we do. Some teams that rebuild do a good job.
Yeah, the problem is everyone says Buffalo, right? And those guys aren't good at it.
No, they're terrible. Like Ottawa is a nice, exciting team to watch right now. They were terrible for a very long time and a joke. Yes.
They weren't good at it. They had a bad GM. The owner was too handsy.
Yeah. So, okay.
Hey, we're close. We're going to go get DeBrincat. Didn't work. Hey, we're close. We're going to get Chychrun. Didn't work. Like they cut corners. And that's kind of what Treliving did here. He thought he was a Hamonic away and gave away Dobson in 2 seconds. Right? Like it's
my biggest beef with Trees stuff was the Gio and the Monahan.
The trading of Monahan with a first
to open up
to get him off the books to sign Kadri.
And you can just LTR a guy if he's hurt.
And the Gio was not making a Giordano trade.
Yeah. And losing him to Seattle for nothing.
Nothing.
Those are the two that stand, because it's hindsight gives you if they'd have had more success with Hammond. I'm not saying it was the right, but it was an attempt, and you got a player that could play and contribute, blah, 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 blah. The Giordano thing, you knew what was happening. You weren't making the playoffs.
Yeah.
You were losing him if you made him available.
Yeah. It's like
he's
they pretended it wasn't happening.
It was, and the Monahan thing, how is that anything other than a panic? Oh, I have to do something.
Yeah. It felt like an emotional move, didn't it? When a guy walks and says, I'm done, it's like, no, we're going to punch back. That was the terminology he used. Like, that's emotional. That's not logical. This is a job for logic, not emotion. Oh, somebody insulted our city. We got to prove the guys will sign here. Here's too much money, Jonathan Huberdeau, and it's all bonus loaded, so you can't buy it out. That's emotional.
The Hamonic trade, he comes in, and it's kind of Rasmus-esque because one of the things about Hamonic was good right shot defenseman, but it was his cap hit. That's why he was regarded, and you're going to have to pay more. From the Islanders with a fourth for a first, second, and conditional second. They used the first on Noah Dobson.
It was very good.
Ruslan Ishakov, and Samuel Bolduc were taken with the picks. The Flames used that fourth on Lucas Fuke. And
Fuke-off.
Why did that deal get done? They had Johnny at 24. It was Tkachuk's first year. Monahan was 22. And on the back end, they had Gio, Brody, and Dougie Hamilton. And they felt like this would give them a formidable top 4 defenseman.
And instead, he looked like a third pair guy almost from the get-go.
With up-and-coming young forward crew. Gaudreau scored 24. Monahan 31. Tkachuk as a rookie had 24.
Now, is that a soft rebuild?
What they did?
Do you know what I mean? Like, if this is what we're calling, is that what their reference point is? Well, we got Johnny late. Okay, awesome. Great job.
You picked high for Kachuk. You picked
Chuck
high
and
for
Monahan were both high picks, and then we ended up with Bennett, and that's. But you had to miss the playoffs significantly to get those, right? Like, is that the idea? Is we're not going to crater so bad that it's a first, but we might be picking 8th to 14th.
I think they traded Bomeister and Iginla in 12, and they were back in the playoffs in the spring of 15. That's probably as good as you can do. Now you hit in the 4th round on a superstar. That's you can't have that doesn't happen more than once a decade or two. But yeah, like we always worry about being, geez, if you rebuild, you're going to look at Buffalo. Well, look,
that's never happened in the history of the game.
And can you find me a more incompetent blend of owner, coach, GM over the last 15 years than what
you
they've
show
done?
today? There was the clip. It was Barney. Difficult team to deal with.
Yeah. So like Buffalo is an absolute worst case scenario, and everyone always talks about that. But why does no one talk about the quicker turnarounds and the ones that work? Because that's your other option. The truth's going to be in the middle, but don't be afraid of the boogeyman. There's also good outcomes here too.
Yeah, and you can compare rebuilds, but chances are it's going to be hard to find a direct comparison.
Sure, of course.
Right, and what this team doesn't have right now. Okay, so they've drafted Coronado, and he had a nice little breakout. Was there, but their $10 million player is Jonathan Huberdeau. It's not Nate McKinnon. It's not a superstar.
Yeah, it was supposed to be, and it wasn't. That's what threw them into rebuild. Factual.
So,
yeah, if Jonathan Huberdeau is the same guy that was in Florida, there's no rebuild. You are a good playoff team. Like it's just that. Like he's turned himself in from a 3rd line winger into a 2nd line where you thought you were getting a 100+ point guy.
Last year, 28 goals, 62 points in 81 games.
Yeah, it's a little more than half of what he had the year before he got here.
Yeah, and it feels like that's probably.
If
you could do it again,
continue, please. Yeah,
it's probably the best case.
Now, no one talks about the Uyghur part of that deal. He is very valuable at that cap hit and a very good player. Your best defenseman. Can play
30
both sides. Yep. And how many years left?
Do you want to talk about?
No.
Uyghur? Okay.
Get in trouble.
He's a nice car. You can talk
Love
about his
Uyghur. His contract ends in 31.
Just around the corner.
4, 5, 6 more. That's 625.
Yeah. And so, people say, why not trade Uyghur or keep Rasmus? Well, Rasmus can be locked into the mid 30s in terms of the year at a way higher number because that's where the market is. And I already think
it's
Uyghur's
where
better.
your team is going. If you think you're a playoff team, you keep Rasmus Anderson.
That's the fear. If they walk into the season with him, that scares me.
Or even if you'd been making the playoffs the last couple of years and maybe you won a round, maybe you didn't. If he's 28,
I think,
and you're in and you're kind of then you're a key part of what we're doing. We're a playoff team. We're hoping to get to round 3. We're building. We got some young guys coming in. Then you don't have any of this conversation, but you missed the playoffs again. And he knows it, and you know it. So that's the other part too, is he knows it. Do not try and convince a guy to be here that doesn't want to be here.
But if you could somehow find a really good young center in the next 2-3 summers, you might actually be good when you get to the new building.
Hey, buddies, thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Also, if you could throw in a like and subscribe, it does help us out with what it is we are doing. And check out more at flamesnation.ca.